All right, cool. Part two. I really, really hope that part one saved. I'm having some technical difficulties because I'm not good at technology.
Is your teacher really going to watch like an hour-long idiot video for every one of her students?
I don't know. I mean, there are a few different assignments that you could do. I don't know if everybody's going to do this. I thought this was probably the easiest one,
They'll
but
probably skim it.
yeah. Okay. We only got like three questions left. So, next question. In the household in which you grew up, what would people there say they value, and what do their behaviors indicate they value?
It's a controversial question. Um, I don't want to answer this. I'm going to get people mad.
Nobody's gonna see it.
Uh, uh, Jeez. I mean, they say they value all. I don't know. I guess people in our family are pretty good. They value, I don't know, like, I guess the values we're supposed to have, or like the Christian values we were raised on, and for the most part, they do that. I
Yeah.
don't like. I don't know. I don't think. It really can't be too judgmental. I feel like we have a pretty good family. I mean, there's people and like there's things where it's just like I'm really questioning what you're doing, or like this person's really annoying right now, um, or like I just don't think they think about things enough.
Yeah.
But overall, they're pretty on par. I don't know with what they say they are. No, I don't. I mean, nobody's like evil. I guess I don't want to name names.
Right.
Well, I always hear about as I get older, like all the illegal stuff our family did, or like crimes that one of our uncles did that like everybody pretended didn't happen.
I don't know if I'm aware of this.
Like Willie was in prison. Willie has a teardrop tattooed on him. I don't know.
Yeah. What? He's not our uncle, though.
No, all our uncles though. Like Billy was growing pot. Apparently, he used to steal cars.
Top trains, too.
Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like they all sort of like lied to me, and then if you ever talk to your uncles, they'll like have a drink and they'll be like, "This is how it really is."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe partly just because, like, there were 10 kids, there maybe wasn't that much oversight.
No, I don't think any of them are like bad people. Sort of.
Right.
I think. I mean, I do think a lot of people in our family do bad things without fully realizing it. But I think that applies to pretty much everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd say yeah, I mean, definitely like what would they say they would value? Like our mom, religion for sure, like her spiritual life and her family, love, kindness, all that good stuff. There were a few things. I mean, our extended family and also just our immediate family, could be pretty very dysfunctional. Like, like a lot of drama, a lot of poor decisions or unhealthy choices. I feel like that's really what makes maybe you and I a little bit more uh people that have problems with authority. Or not necessarily. I'm not really like an anti-establishment kind of person, but like somebody that. I think if you have like a really good life growing up and nobody ever does you any wrong, you're a lot less likely to question like like what you were taught growing up. You know what I mean? Because it served you really well. If it doesn't serve you well, you're going to think, well, that sucked. These people don't know what they're talking about. Um, these people don't know what they're doing in life, so I'm not going to take anything that I was taught when I was a child as gospel. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna have to figure this out for myself.
Yeah, I get the vibe that a lot of people just didn't know what they were doing or talking about.
No,
Well,
I mean that's a secret to life, dude. Nobody knows what they're doing.
yeah, I do think I noticed like people in our family would like follow certain people or like, we were raised on certain values and in general they do that. But then like they would look up to people who like weren't like that and it was kind of obvious. But because in the modern context things get pretty confused because then you go like, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. It's controversial and it's happening right now. And
Right.
sometimes this is true for everybody though, really. It's like you have these values, but when like a complicated issue is right in your face, even if it's really not that complicated, like when you get down to it, but like I don't know. I mean, that's not really their fault either. There's like propaganda for everything everywhere, really. People are always trying to tell you what to think, and it really gets in your head. So I would really forgive everyone for like being confused about stuff or like going the wrong way sometimes.
You know, that's the other thing about about life is, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. You're kind of flailing in the dark. So I try not to be too judgmental about mistakes that people make. Um, just
Yeah,
because, yeah. I honestly sometimes I get the feeling like life is like one big, like very cruel test. Like, like this is your mission, like you have like some kind of a mission, but you weren't equipped with the kind of wherewithal you need to complete that mission. And you weren't given the knowledge or the intelligence that you need to complete this mission, so you have to just figure it out. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
it's like Calvin's dad and Calvin and Hobbes. Like I feel like if there's a God, he's like Calvin's dad, and and he's like making you basically saying like, oh, suffering builds character. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, but it's too much. It doesn't need to be this hard.
I know, I know. There's a lot, yeah, there's a lot of suffering. Um, okay. If you were in a foreign country and someone asked you to describe some of the outstanding characteristics of the culture to which you identify, what would you say?
Um, well, if I went to another country, I think people would just see me as American.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer that without actually talking to someone because you don't really realize the differences until you're talking to that person. Like when you told me you were asking me questions about my culture, I'm like, what do you mean, like American? Like I don't, or like white guy, or like Irish person, like so, like sorry. I don't think. So if I went to somewhere else, they would definitely probably just see me as an American. And honestly, I've never been outside the U.S., so it's kind of a hard question to answer. But I'd probably say like what I said earlier. It just seems like everything's about success and individualism,
Yeah.
and like really everything's set up that way. It's kind of like, and this is the case in a lot of places in the world, but it's like you start out poor, and then you have to work your way up to being rich, and the current rich people didn't really like build a ladder for you. They kind of like got up there and like kicked it so you can't get up there, but like that's part of the challenge, which is pretty stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to tell like what is our society and like our culture or our politics and what is just life. You know what I mean? Because life inherently can be pretty brutal and it is very competitive and there is a lot of suffering involved and like all of this stuff, you know? But then also but also there's a lot of cultural things and political things that really affect like the system in which you live, you know. But uh, I feel like there's a little bit lately. I've been thinking there's a little bit too much of people just blaming all of their problems on the government, and you know, uh, I don't know. Like, remember that phrase? Like people were saying, like, "Thanks, Obama," like if your dog died or something, you know. Uh,
Yeah, I do think I didn't really see this until I became like the caretaker of this building, but a lot of people really have like no self awareness and kind of. So I know I just said like it's like really hard to like make it and like it's impossible because the system is rigged, which is true. But I have noticed, even being in a small position of power as the building caretaker, that a lot of people, like a lot, really
blame you for
just,
everything.
yeah, they just see like the next person in authority and like, I don't know, they just have no work ethic and like they blame everyone for everything and expect everything to be done for them. And they don't realize that it's kind of like a Karen thing. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, you haven't done this, or like the hallway's a little dirty this week. And it's like, do you understand that another person is just doing that? And by you saying it's unacceptable, you're really just asking someone else to do your work for you. And then that person is only in that position of power because they like accepted that responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird mix of I think a lot of people too in our culture, this is probably human nature to some extent, but especially here, just like very much live in a bubble and don't really understand what like real tyranny is or real po well, there's plenty of poverty in this, but I mean like I don't know, like I don't know. I was watching this video about Russia trying to recruit these guys from Nepal and to go fight against Ukraine. And or like in Somalia, people sign up to be mercenaries in this war. And it's a brutal war. This is like the first war. This is a war of attrition. And the Russians militarily always just throw people at the problem. Like their numbers is their strategy. But people sign up to probably to die because it can get a lot worse. Like Nepal, like you think Nepal, man, I don't know. Nepal should be really chill. Like that's where the Himalayas are. Everybody's Buddhist. It's a cool place, but it can be really, really hard to make ends meet, you know?
Yeah, poverty kind of ruins everything because it can be much worse.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I watch these videos about just like there's this one guy on YouTube who will just travel to like basically ghettos in other countries, and some of those places are just horrible. Like, nothing works right. It's like ugly, it's dingy, it's dirty. Nobody has any money, and I don't know. It's just like, what went wrong? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. It's like I saw a YouTube video. Well, I saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch it, but it said why the UK is poor or something like that. And I'm like, the UK is not poor by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest problems is that like people have to work together, and I think I don't know. One of the biggest obstacles to my success is that I feel like so many people just don't, or just honestly just idiots, and like it's really hard to find anyone who will work with you for anything. Like, it's far worse than you'd expect it to be, and there's a high amount of people that are just like they're pieces of shit. Like, they're nothing. Like, I looked and like there's 25 sex predators in my neighborhood,
Oh my God.
just in my neighborhood, like this little area, and it's like we have a community, but on average, a lot of people really suck, and that's like a large part of it. It's like hard to find good people because like you really can't do it on your own, like anything.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I try not to be too cynical, but like, yeah, we'll just have to accept that we're superior to everybody else.
Yes, yes, we are. Well, honestly,
And learn not to expect too much.
that's sort of something I accepted as like I was older because I felt really inadequate and that I didn't know what I was doing and that people were like mean to me all the time. And it was, well, I don't know, just because you're like a young person, you don't really know anything, and then you go enter the workforce and people like treat you like you're an idiot because you don't know something. Then you feel that way. Then as I got a little older, I was like, man, those guys are like, honestly, I don't know. Like, it feels bad thinking I'm like better than anyone else, but really, like, those people are completely wrong. They had no clue what they were doing. They were managing things horribly. It's like whatever. So I don't know. I used to think everyone was like equal, and I guess I do still think everyone's equal, but I also sort of don't. We're all made equally, but definitely people make individual choices, and a lot of people make the wrong choices, and I make pretty good choices.
Yeah, yeah, you certainly make better choices than I do. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's just a matter of being overconfident. Um, I don't know. Like,
One thing Grandpa taught me, or he said, like, it's really like double think. I think about that book 1984 a lot, and it was like having two simultaneous beliefs at the same time. But Grandpa said like you kind of have to think that you're better than everyone and have like an attitude, sort of. But of course, you don't really mean it. It's just kind of the attitude you have to like be confident and successful. It's like when it comes down to it, I don't think I'm better than anyone, but you sort of have to act like it to accomplish anything whatsoever.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think some of maybe, especially foolish people on the internet are, I guess, don't have enough intellectual humility, I would say. Like people that they probably, I don't know. Sometimes I get too like, I don't know. It's like the more that you learn, the less certain you really are about anything. And I can get a little bit too like paralyzed by like, oh my God, I have no idea how the world works, or like my not, I don't know. But I think it's kind of like that Socratic dialogue apology, you know? Like Socrates, the oracle is saying, "Oh Socrates, you're the wisest person in Athens." And Socrates is like, "What? I'm not wise, but the oracle can't lie." So he goes around interviewing all these people who think that they know what's up, and none of them know what they're doing. And
Yeah,
Socrates,
that's
and
how I
Socrates,
feel.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think maybe people, I think it's good. I think it's good to take a step back and say like, man, maybe I don't know, you know? Maybe I can I think people are maybe a little bit too quick to jump to conclusions and uh um not think critically about things and not second guess things enough, I guess. But anyway, this is a tangent. Okay, last question. What things would you like to better understand about your cultural heritage as you reflect on these questions? Why? What is a resource, person, place, thing, etc., that you could identify to better help with this understanding?
Well, it's like I was saying somewhat recently, I was looking into like Celtic culture, which I thought was interesting. Sometimes I feel like I don't really have an identity. I don't know. Sometimes I think I can like tell people are Irish because they seem cooler to me. I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like I can sort of tell the difference between people of other countries, and I don't know. I like I said. I I'm good. This isn't related. But what's a resource? I was like looking up documentaries on YouTube about these things.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel like physically I got a lot more of the Norwegian than the Irish, you know? But
Yeah, I look. I feel like I can tell now. Like I talked to a guy from Somalia, and he told me that he could tell the difference between people from different parts of Africa, which I sort of. I can recognize Somalians, but that's really only because I'm around them. I'm not
yeah,
everyone else, not really. And uh, this is I don't know. It's really not true for anyone. Like certain people definitely seem like look Irish. Like I feel like I look more Irish than you.
yeah.
Some
I
people,
feel look more Scandinavian than you do.
yeah, I'm like Irish people are kind of like shorter and not like short. They're like kind of stout.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Like
like,
big heads,
yeah.
round faces.
And then like they do have a lot of times like red like cheeks. Like my cheeks
Yeah,
are
I was thinking that
my
too.
cheeks are getting redder. And then you're like more so taller.
Yeah. This is what this tattoo is. I don't have several tattoos.
What is it?
This one.
What is isn't that the name of God or something?
Yeah, it's he. Well, I don't know. People see Hebrew on my arm and they ask me if I'm Jewish, and I'm like, no, I'm not Jewish. Maybe I shouldn't have culturally appropriated the.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't. I mean, I just thought it was a cool story about identity because it's it's a tetragrammaton, something like that. But I mean, it's Yahweh. It's the name of God. But basically, the story is Moses goes up to Mount Sinai, um, and is talking to God, and he's like, "Hey God, what's your name?" And he says, Yahweh or whatever it is, which essentially means I am, or I am that is, or I'm sorry, I am that which is, meaning that I exist, basically, or I am who I am, or I am what I am. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's a cool answer, like if somebody asks you your name, like it's just it's an interesting question of like identity. Like you ask, who are you? Like what defines you exactly? Like is it your name? Is it your I don't know, like your body, your mind, your opinions, your experiences, your culture, whatever. But I don't know. That's what the biblical God said. He said, I
I
exist.
mean, that's pretty real. So I that also like that makes me turn away from like culture. I honestly thought everyone being overly Irish in our family was really cringe and kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I didn't really care about it, honestly. I mean, it's cool. It's cool, but I don't know. It's
Well, I
not that
think
important to me.
yeah. Well, identity is like people want to feel a part of a group, and like Europeans make fun of Americans for like coming to Ireland and being like, "Oh, I'm Irish."
Yeah.
But I think the reality, maybe something they don't understand, is that like it's super multicultural here, and it's if you don't know where you come from, it's kind of just like, okay, I'm just here. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, it's more of like what's the word? Diffuse here, I guess. Like in Europe, Europe is very multicultural as well, but it's more regional because they have these nation states, like all the French people live in France and all the Norwegians live in Norway and all the Hungarians live in Hungary. It would be like if each state in the United States had a different like ethnic group that spoke a different language. I mean, to some extent, there's plenty of mixing around with like the Schengen and they have plenty of immigrants from elsewhere around the world as well. But I think it's a bit more regional over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I I don't know. I think that's why. I also think it's embarrassing that Americans go over there and act like they like live there.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Like I've
I
returned
also
to my
think,
homeland.
yeah, I also think the Europeans over there are maybe taking it for granted that they have their own people in their own country all in one place.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Um, No, good talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Later.